Okay, good morning everybody. We are ready to start. I ask you to please confirm in the section for question if you listen me well. Okay, I see the first answers. Audio seems good. Okay, fantastic. We can start. Okay then, first of all, I would like to introduce the topic of the webinar, STR Vision CPM, which is a software for construction and planning execution and BIM 4D and 5D. I will also introduce myself. My name is Francesco Goldoni. I'm product marketing for STR Vision CPM and Team System, and I'm here today with Mrs. Laura Betti, which is the technical support of STR Vision CPM, and that we go through the technical matters of the software. So the company, who we are. STR is a business unit specialized in providing solution software for construction industry since 1979. So we have 35 years experience. We are 130 employees. We sold 25,000 licenses. We have 50 business partners in Italy and in Europe, and we are certified quality for the Italian government and UNIS for the European Union. We are part of a biggest group that is called Team System, which is the Italian leading software company, both developer and supplier, also for training service for professional companies and associations. Team System has more or less 2,000 people employed, 257 million of turnover in 2015, 222,000 customers, and 800 software partners. Our market, the software and the solution we design and develop are dedicated to architecture, engineering, and construction market. So first of all, construction companies which work for construction, installation, real estate, or that build road, craft, or global services. We work also with the public administration and the government, such as local authority, utilities company, health system, for example, hospital and so on, ports and airports, and also we collaborate with a lot of universities in Italy and in Europe. And the third segment is about architecture and engineering company. So we provide solution and STR Vision CPM as features that match the needs of these three market segments. So construction company, public administration and government, and architecture and engineering firm. Where are we in Europe? We started last year selling our software in the European Union thanks to our business partner. So right now we are in Germany, Austria, Bulgaria, France, Hungary, Lithuania, Portugal, Poland, Serbia, Switzerland, Czech Republic, Slovenia, Turkey, Middle East, and coming soon in UK and Latin America. So more or less in the 70% of the European market. Digital transformation, yesterday versus today. So very brief, I would like to introduce the digital transformation and why you should be interested in buying a software solution for the BIM 4D and 5D for the planning and execution. So what has changed in the market today? Whether you are a construction company, an architecture engineering firm, you are all involved in developing projects which requires a high level of interoperability and shared information between subjects involved in the process. If you are sharing information, better information, you can have a better control on your project. So the goal for the architecture engineering construction market is increase the productivity in the building market, because there is a gap if we compare with other markets in terms of technology. Increase the efficiency and reduce cost for every project so you can get a better revenue. to guarantee a better synergy and interoperability among players, and a better quality for all the entire process and the finished work. So what has changed? We had in 1976 the IT revolution. Today the personal computer is in every house. We had then the CAD revolution, so the computer-aided design software, which helped us in order to improve the design process. And today we talk about the BIM revolution. What is the BIM? It's the use of sharing models for digital representation in order to facilitate the design and the construction project management. BIM also affects a lot of processes such as construction bidding and estimation. You can do a better estimate, a more precise estimate, because you can manage price list from your subcontractors or from your providers in order to submit a tender. So you can better understand the percentage of discount you can apply. So you can win more tender. You can also use our software to do the job scheduling and planning for the 4D. You have the Gantt diagram and also the virtual simulation for the construction building. You can use STR Vision CPM to execute and supervise, because you can also insert data from your building site, so the actual data that you get from your building site. And at the end, you can do the cost and the financial control. So why should you be interested in BIM? Because approximately 30% of a project is review and rework. 60% of work is wasted, 10% loss on each project is due to the waste of material, accidents and delay. 80% of the inputs of a project are identical and recurring. So today we are in the condition to automate a lot of the things that we do during the process. So the benefits of BIM are to reduce errors and omission, a drastic reduction of wasted time, a better control of the cost and predictability, a best planning, a reduction of the duration of the project, and also you can improve your corporate image, because when your customer understands that you have a full control on your project, they will like to work with you. So STR Vision CPM allows you to time save, so you can increase your efficiency in terms of time savings. You can have a better quality because it's a nightly interoperability software, and you can have a better control, so you can improve your effectiveness in developing your project. Let's talk briefly about interoperability. STR Vision CPM integrates with Microsoft Office, so all the grids inside the software are designed in Excel style, so there is the possibility to copy and paste price list and information from our software to Excel and vice versa. We guarantee also a high interoperability with computer-aided design software, CAD software, that support the EFC standard to import and export models such as Revit, Graphisoft, AllPlan, and Tekla structures. Also, we guarantee a high level of interoperability with scheduling software such as Oracle Primavera and Microsoft Project. And at the end, also with the most common and used ERP system, Enterprise Resource Planning Management System, such as SAP and Microsoft Dynamics. So talking about building information modeling, we have the 2D, so the phase in which you design the project, then you can create the model 3D, and then you can go through the 4D and the 5D, so the time scheduling and the planning, and the 5D for the cost control and the financial revenue. I will also make clear that our software is not just used by companies that they model in 3D. Actually, our software has been designed 10 years ago, and 3 years ago has been improved in order to match the building information modeling process. So you can use also our software in order to manage price list, do the estimation, and to do the time scheduling and planning and the cost control, even if you don't have right now the 3D model. So the main features, so what we are going to show you today is how you can use the software using the 3D model. So you can import your EFC model. You can do the quantity takeoff and you can create an estimate. We are going to show you how you can compare a model and create automatically an estimate if you decide to keep some alteration or not. We are going to show you how you can manage the job scheduling starting from your estimation, and at the end you are able to create some dashboard for the economical and financial analysis. In our know-how, here's the typical process for engineering company. So engineering company, which are already our customer, use our software to do the quantity takeoff and to manage the EFC file in order to create an estimate, to do the analytical estimation, of course, to do the jobs planning and the time scheduling, and if they have this kind of duty, to do the management and accounting control. Construction company that use our software use it to do the estimation for construction bidding and tender, so in order to manage also changes in the design project and to understand which percentage of discount they can apply. They use the software to do planning and to understand the requirements for the project. They use our software to understand and to put data starting from the building site, so to manage the building site works and to do the cost control, also with earned value analysis, and at the end to do the industrial and analytical accounting with their ERP or managed system. Another point that I want to make clear is that it's possible to customize the software in order to integrate STR Vision CPM with your current management system. Here are some of our customers. We are proud to serve the top 10 construction companies in Italy, such as Salini Impregilo, Astaldi, Pizzarotti. We are starting developing customers worldwide, such as two big construction companies, NGA and Mathieu Bird from France and Marbad from Poland. We work with any group that is a really big group in Italy, but also, as I told you at the beginning, we work with the government. You can see here the city of Milan, the subway in Rome, the society which manage the airport in Rome, and the society that manage the train infrastructure in Italy. But also 70% of our customers are small and medium business. We choose just one part of the software to do the estimation or to do the jobs planning and the scheduling or cost control. So at this stage, I would like to introduce you Mrs. Laura Betti that will go through the technical presentation of our software. Thank you for your attention, and just a second because I'm gonna grant her the permission to show her screen.
Hello everybody, welcome to this webinar. My name is Laura Betti and I'm going to introduce you the use and the interface of STR Vision CPM. What you see in my screen is the standard interface of the software. The software is divided in three main parts. We have a navigation pane here on the left. You can navigate through the various sections of the software, such as the system settings, the management of price list, the project and contracts, the estimates, the accounting, and so on. In the upper part, we have a ribbon bar with a lot of buttons that integrates all the functions that you have inside the software. The ribbon bar changes accordingly to the area in which you are working in. Here on the right, we have a help pane, which is blank at this time because we are in the management of project and contracts, but we will see that it activates accordingly to the section where we are working. So in the estimate, we will be able to use this help pane in order to drag and drop information from the price list. And here we have a main central area divided into two parts. The upper part shows a grid like an Excel grid, and just like an Excel grid, you can decide to remove, for example, columns that you don't want to use. You can change the order of the columns, you can apply filter, you can order the columns whatever you want, and we will see in the estimates we can also add new columns according to the user need. In the part below, we have all the list of the details. The details are referred to the selected row in the upper part. The software is multi-project, multi-company, multi-currency, and multi-users. So in the system settings, for example, you can manage the access control. You can define users and roles, and you can grant permissions for users or for a group of users, so according to the roles for each section of the software. It's very easy to grant permission. You simply select the destination of the permission and right-click select rights in order to select the users or the roles to which you need to grant rights to operate. Let's go to the main area of the project and contracts. Okay, in order to add a new project, you simply click the button New. You have to insert a code. A description, and then you go through the wizard in order to let the software create the new project. A project is a summary of a lot of information. For every project you will have a project price list, you will be able to manage IFC files, you will have specific dashboards in order to analyze all the content of the project, you have all the reporting, etc. As you can see in the screen, the software asks me if I want to set the created project as current. This means that every time you want to operate, to work on a project, you need to set it as current. So I select yes, and now all the buttons and all the information are referring to the new project. You can always check from the title bar which is the project that you have current in your main project to see how STR Vision works. Before talking about the project and the IFC files, I'd like to make a quick description of the section of the price list. Inside the software, you can manage a lot of price lists. The price lists that you see here in this section are available throughout all the projects because they belong to the system settings. Inside a project, you can see that we have a lot of information. The main one, of course, is that of the items. So I double-click on the items and I get a new window in which I can have a look at all the items that I have in my price list. As described before, once I select a row in the upper part of the window, all the details are now referring to the row that I have selected in the grid. It's very easy to add a new item to an existing price list. You simply need to right-click and select Add. you decide the code that you want to give to your item, and you select a description. You add a measurement unit, and then you select a price. You save, and here you have a new item in your price list. Another way to import new items or to quickly update, for example, the prices of an existing price list is to export the price list into Excel and then update it from Excel. Let's see how it works. I press the export button. Okay, change name. Okay, and this is my price list in the Excel format. The integration between Excel and STR Vision is made possible through the column header of every column. It means that if you want to import information, to copy-paste information from Excel, what you need to do is to set in Excel the column header with the same description as those that you have inside STR Vision. So now I want to change the prices of this item here in a very quick way. Okay, I have updated a few prices. Now I simply select the rows that I want to update together with the column header. I right-click copy. I go back to STR Vision and I right-click paste. The software allows me to choose what I want to update. Okay, I can insert missing items. I can decide to change the unit of measurement or to update them, to update description, to update custom fields. So it's up to the user to set what he wants to update during the copy-paste function. Now the system has updated the prices. Let's make a check. So for example, okay, we want to check this item here. I go back to STR Vision and I insert a filter. I choose to have a custom filter. And here I have my item with a price of 120. Okay. There is another way to add information to an existing price list, and is to take information from other price lists. And here is where we use this help pane here on the right. Here on the right, I can navigate through all the price lists that I have inside the software. And if I don't remember where I have saved a price, I can go and search for it. And I simply drag and drop it inside the price list. There are also ways to import information from an external file. So for example, we have developed an import function of price list in the VIS format. The VIS format is the owner format of STR Vision CPM, so you can exchange information among users that use STR Vision. You can import 6 files. This is normally the typical Italian format to exchange information. And we have also developed for the Spanish and the South American market an import of files of BC3 files for price lists. Let's now move to the project and start looking at the integration with the IFC files. First of all, we need to upload an IFC file inside the project in which we are working on. So I go back to the section Project and Contracts. I open my yellow folder of the project, and inside the project, as I was telling before, you have a lot of information. You have the project price list, the measurement units, the price category, the changes, the WBS, and the IFC models. Double click on IFC models. I add a new row, simply insert a code and a description, and select the button Import IFC file. I select the file I want to import. Okay. The system is able to recognize the file name which is contained in the IFC files, the source of the file, and the schema. Remember that STR Vision supports an IFC 2x3 schema for the import of IFC files. Once imported, you need to activate the model in order to be able to view it in our BIM viewer. Here on the right, we have the section of the BIM viewer. The BIM viewer can be docked on the right area of your screen, can be moved on a second screen, can be made floating, and provides us some graphical features, graphical tools in order to explore our models. And we will see later in the estimate that we will have available all the IFC properties of all the information that have been set in the original 3D CAD to be able to do the quantity takeoff. Let's activate the model and press the button Show to have it available in our BIM viewer. So here we have our model. We have some graphical tools. For example, we can zoom in, we can zoom out, we can rotate, we can select an object in the BIM viewer, and we can change the visibility, for example. We can hide part of the model in order to navigate our model deeply in all the parts. Let's have a look at all the functions that we have here in our BIM viewer. For example, in the models, we can decide to have more than one model visualized view in the BIM viewer. So for example, I flagged the second building of my health center and I press Show. And now I have a federated model, and here you see that I have my second building updated in the viewer. We have a panel of the unit of measurement. This panel is used to map, to insert a conversion factor for the unit of measurement used in the model together with the unit of measurement in our estimate. So it's important that in case your model has unit of measurement which does not which are not the same of your items in the estimate, that you provide a conversion factor. So when you will do the drag and drop of the dimensional properties, you are sure that you are using the correct quantities for your estimation. We have a tree view, and the tree view is perfectly synchronized with the model. So if you select an object in the tree view, it gets highlighted in the model, and if you select an object in the model, it gets highlighted in the tree view. The description that you see in the tree view and that you will see in the properties are available in the language of the CAD 3D, thanks to which the model has been created. So my model was created with an Italian CAD 3D, so some of the description are available only in Italian. But we have a cut plane tools, but the most powerful section of our BIM viewer is the section of the filter. So in the filter section, you can set some filter condition that will help you to be more precise when doing the quantity takeoff. So for example, we have some fixed filter condition, which is the story and the type. And in the type, you can select the IFC objects, for example. If you apply the filter, the system will extract you in this grid how many objects are corresponding to this filter, and you can view them in the viewer. You see here that here on the right, a new panel is available, which is the panel of the properties. In the properties, you will find in the first tab, that is the quantitative properties, all the dimensional properties that are available in order to do the quantity takeoff, such as the volume, the area, the perimeter, and so on. You will have some qualitative properties. So for example, here you will find the label, some information about the material, the phase, the construction phase, for example. You can have, for example, the value of transmittance and so on. You will find also the materials for those IFC objects that have layers. So for example, walls or slabs. In the tab materials, you will find the information about the layers that compose the object, and you will find information about the specific thickness of the different layers of the wall or of the slab. And you can also find, always for those objects who have openings, the list of the openings. So for example, in walls or slabs also, you can find the detail of every single opening that you have, or you can have the information of the opening grouped, in which the common information, dimensional information, so for example volume or thickness or perimeter, are summarized to grant a quick drag and drop while estimating. Let's close our BIM viewer and go to the estimate. For every project, you can manage more than one estimate, okay? You can start with the first estimate, then you can revise it through a drag and drop and copy-paste function. We will see later on that we will create a new estimate also when we receive an updated IFC model and we need to update our estimate. I open the yellow folder of the estimate, and here again you will see a lot of information regarding every single estimate. We have the measurement, which is the most important tab about the estimate. We have the relative project price list. We have the job planning. We have the dashboards, which are our business intelligence tools that allows you to compare information, to extract information. They work like pivot tables from Excel. And so every user can have the possibility to customize all the reports and extract them to Excel. We have dashboard for requirements and for budget, and we have also the reporting area. I double click on the measurement, and here you see that I have a lot of information regarding my estimate. The estimate is the combination of two major tables. The tables of the prices, which is contained in the project price list, and the information about the quantity. The quantity can be inserted manually or can be inserted through the use of our IFC files. So I activate my 3D area and I want to view my health center main IFC files in order to use it in my estimate. I activate the properties by a right click. I activate the details. Every grid that you have inside the software can be customized according to the user needs. If you want to use with a lot of columns, you can have all them available in the grid, or you can decide to remove them and save the appearance so that the next project that you will be working on will have the same grid style as the one you have saved in the appearance. Now I want to estimate the slabs, the concrete necessary for the slabs of the second floor of my building. So I go to the filter area and I set the filter condition. I choose the story, the second floor, and I choose the object, the IFC slab. I apply the filter. The system is telling me that I have two slabs in my second floor. If I want to show them, I can select every single object in the detail of the results, or I can simply decrease the transparency in order to have the object highlighted in the viewer. If I want to estimate both of the slabs together, I need to press the button Selection Properties. In this way, you will see in the viewer that the two slabs are highlighted together, and here in the Properties tab, the information about, for example, gross area or the volume are summarized. Now I need to add a new row in my estimate. I need to select an item. If, for example, I don't want to browse all through the items that I have in my price list, I can simply write the description in my column of the short description, and then by pressing the drop-down menu, the system is filtering me all the items that have concrete in their description. So I choose one of them, and now I have to fill in the detail of the measures of my estimate row. In order to do this, I go back to my bin viewer and I select, for example, the volume, the IFC property I want to use, and I simply drag and drop it into my detail area. The system has created two detail rows, each one for every slab of the model. So, for example, this is the first slab, which has a volume of 108,34, which is a rounded number. Okay. And here you see the first row has the same information about the volume. In the second row, we can find the information about the second slab. In the common field, the system automatically sets the name of the object that you have in the tree view. And what is important to highlight is that in these columns, you see a number, but if we click in the cell, we'll see that it is a link to the volume, so to the property of this IFC slab 128286 of the model A01. In this way, the system is able to recognize during an update which are the information IFC properties that you have already used in your estimate, and will be able to compare them with information coming from the updated model. So if the volume of your slab has increased or decreased, the system will update the new value in the new estimate. Each other in order to form a total of each row, and the sum of all the total will build the total quantity of the main row of your estimate. So let's right click again and edit the factors, and let's imagine I want to multiply the similar. So I choose the operator and I insert the value for which I want to multiply the number which is in the similar field. Now the system has inserted the formula, and now my value has been multiplied by 2. Let's imagine I want to take information from the IFC model. So for example, I want to use the thickness of the layer of my slab in order to multiply the information of the volume by the thickness. I can apply this information to one row by simply drag and drop the information from the Material tab into the Detail row that I want to change. Or if I want to apply this information to all the rows that I have in my detail measure, I have to activate the multi-line variable flag. I have to select the operator, and now I simply can drag and drop the information inside the columns. Let's enlarge the column a bit to see what is the result. So we have the first information that we dragged and dropped from the Properties tab, which was the volume of the IFC slab. Then we multiply it by 2, and then the last action that we did together, we multiply it by the thickness of this material layer of this IFC slab. So with the drag and drop, you can act whatever you want. It is very free, and the user can customize and adapt and use all the information in the model to build the estimate as precise as possible. We have developed a second way, another way, which represents a more automatic way to prepare your estimate, and we call them takeoff rule. So what is a takeoff rule? A takeoff rule is the combination of 3 sections. The first one is the filter that you do in your model. The second part is the item, because in order to build an estimate row, we need an item and its price. And the third section is one of the formula. So which IFC properties we want to use in order to create our estimate row. Let's reset our filter from the model and let's activate it again. We take the same example of the slabs of the second floor, but now instead of dragging and dropping information from the Properties tab, we will build together a takeoff rule. Okay. Now I press this button here, which is identified by the label New Estimate Measurement. The window that opens is one of the takeoff rule. So the filter is one we set in the beam viewer. The second part is the item. So here we need to can pick information from the model. So for example, I want to use the volume. If I want, I can decide to multiply it by the thickness, for example. And here in the comment, I can edit my personal comments. And in addition, I can also use information from the IFC file. So now my takeoff rule is complete. I have a filter condition, I have the item, and I have my formula. Now I have 2 choices. I can simply create the estimate measurement, and the system will add a new row in my estimate picking information of volume and thickness from the IFC model. Or if I want to be able to use this takeoff rule throughout all the projects that I have inside STR Vision, I can select the option of creating the measurement row and at the same time to save the takeoff rule. In order to save the takeoff rule, I need to select a catalogs of rule in which I need to store this information. So now if I press create measurement and save takeoff rule, I have a new row in my estimate. In the comment area, I have the information that I've written manually, plus the information coming from the IFC model. And here I have my volume divided for each object of the IFC file. In the BIM objects area, I can go through this information in a different layout. In the BIM ribbon bar, I have some control buttons that allows me to be able to keep under control my estimation. So for example, if I want to check if this row in my estimate is somehow being related to some object in my AVC files, I select the row in the estimate and then I press the button Check Estimated Object. So the system is telling me that this row with item of painting is connected to 140 objects from my IFC file. And here in the Measure tab, you see that I have 48 rows, more than 48 rows, probably because I used more than one information to calculate this painting, but we have a detail row for every single space, IFC space that we have in our model. I can also check which are my unestimated objects in my model. And I can group them by story, for example, to be able to view them in an easy way in the viewer. If I don't want to start from the estimate, I can start from the model. So for example, if I want to check if this part of the roof has already been estimated, I select the object, I right-click, and I select Estimate Filter, Filter Measurement. So the system is telling me that this IFC slab of the roof has been used on these 4 estimate rows. In this way, I can always keep under control the work ongoing on my estimate and on my model. Let's go back quickly to our takeoff rule and let's see how to use them on a new project to generate a parametric estimate. I go back to my project and contracts area, double click on project and contracts, and I select a new project. I go to the estimated and I want to add a new empty estimate. I double click on the measurements and my estimate is empty. Now I activate the model. You see here that it is a complete different model, and now starting from 0 we will ask the system to generate the estimate. How can we do this? We select the button Generate Parametric Estimate and we need to select the takeoff rule catalogs in which we have saved our takeoff rules before. I select one catalog and here I have all the rules available. I can decide to select them all. I can unflag some of them if I don't want to apply them. I can also map properties from the IFC model to be able to divide my estimate, for example, and subdivide the rows of my estimate according to the story that I have in my model. So, for example, I want to use the property, the IFC property story, information in my WBS custom field. For every takeoff rule, you can always check which is the filter which has been saved, so that you will be able to decide which rule you need to apply and which not. When we press generate measurement, the system first checks if the filter that you have saved in your rules can be applied to the model, and the second control if the rule that you have saved in your catalogs of rule is associated to an item. Once the first control have been passed, the system now reads all the information coming from the IFC properties, apply the filter, and will start creating the estimate measurements. It is not important how many objects we have in our IFC model, because they can be 100, they can be thousands. The system will just go through all the objects and apply the filter. Of course, the highest number of objects that I have in my IFC models, probably the longest time it takes to create the estimate measurements. But in the end, if you were able to set all your rules correctly, the system will be able to generate, let's say, an automatic estimate. So let's grant the software some few minutes more. And here is my estimate. Okay, let's do some checking on the estimate. So first of all, I want to show you, okay, let's take the information about the story. You remember I mapped the information of the story in my WBS field. So I want to take it at the beginning of the grid to show you that the system has divided me all the estimate row into each story. So we have the first floor, the second floor, the third floor, the ground floor, etc. If, for example, I take this row in my estimate and I want to check which are the IFC objects connected to this row, I simply press the check estimated object, and here I have the list of the estimated object of my second floor for the item concrete footing. On the other way around, as I was showing you before, if we select an item in the model, we right-click Estimate Filter, Filter Measurement, we will see that this slab here has been used on these 4 rows of our estimate. And if I press the button Check Unestimated Object, you will see that the only object that still needs to be estimated is this red stair here in the middle of my IFC file. So in this way, you can understand how powerful the takeoff rules are, and once you have created your catalogs of rules, you will be able to use them throughout every project that you will manage inside the software. Let's go back now to our first project, to our health center, and let's see how to do an estimate update upon receipt of an updated IFC file. I set my project as current. I go back to my estimate. I go to the beam ribbon bar and I press the button Check Estimate Update. Of course, I have already uploaded my new IFC file. So here I need to tell the software which is the starting model and the updated one. And now I press Compare Models. The system tells me that it has found differences in both cases through the generation of the drag and drop quantity takeoff and through the takeoff rules. I want also to show the updated model, and let's go through the modifications that we have. First of all, let me show you the two models. Okay. The system already groups the information about changes and deleted objects. So for example, as far as the changes are concerned, you can go through all the changes both in the viewer and also in the grid. So you will find this column for the start value and this column for the updated value. The user can now decide object by object if you want to keep the start value or to accept the updated value. There are also some utilities here that keep the start values and accept updated values. Will carry on the action modification for all the rows in your grid. If we go to the deleted object, here again you can go through and have a look to the objects that are now existing only in the first model and that are no longer existing in the second model. Let's go to the tab of the takeoff rules. Here we see that we have our rule of the IFC slab. Here we have our two objects, our two slabs, and these slabs were existing in the first model and are existing also in the updated model, and their status is unchanged. This means that the thickness and the volume that we used in our takeoff rule are not changed. For the second slab instead, we see that the information about the volume has changed and the start value is higher than the updated value. Now we need to update our estimate with these informations. So we will create a new estimate. We are not overwriting anything, but we are creating a new estimate with all the information coming from the updated model. In this way, you will be able to compare the two estimates to have a look at the situation before, so that you can always check and have your situation under control. You simply need to insert a new code, a description, select the custom field for the custom field that you need to apply for the deleted object, and then simply press Run in order to ask the software to create a new estimate. Let's now move to the job planning area. So in our folder of each estimate, we find the section of the job planning. In the job planning, you can create your own Gantt chart starting from the estimate. It's very easy to create a new Gantt chart. Again, you need to press the Add button and simply follow the wizard that will lead you through the steps of the creation of the Gantt chart. Let's have a look at my Gantt chart, which has already been created. Unfortunately, I'm very sorry about this, but my activities are still in Italian. I need to translate them all, but the meaning of what I want to show is clear. You see here that I have all the information coming from my estimate. This is the actual layer of a Gantt chart, so all the information, the relation between an activity and another are set in the standard way. Our Gantt chart can be imported and exported to Microsoft Project and Primavera. And what is important to underline is that we are able to combine the information about time with the information about cost. So, for example, these are our plaster activity. Here in the Gantt chart below, you will see how is the ongoing of cost and revenues during the time of our Gantt. How is it possible? This is possible because this activity comes from the estimate. So if, for example, I press activity measurement, I will see that this activity is strictly related to this item of my estimate, which has a quantity, of course, but which has also a price. So in this way, we are able to update this chart with this information. And for example, if we decide to change the information about this activity, also the Gantt chart will be updated accordingly. If your estimate has been built thanks to an IFC model through a quantity takeoff, we will be able to use the information of the model in order to check which are our already scheduled activity and which are the activities that still need to be scheduled. So I go to the BIM viewer area and I activate models. And now, as far as my plaster activity is concerned, if I move to the BIM ribbon bar and I press the button Highlight 3D Objects, the system is highlighting me the walls, the IFC walls that I have chosen for my activity of plastering. On the other way, we can check which are our unscheduled 3D objects. And here I have all the information divided, for example, by floor of the objects that still need to be estimated. We have also in the BIM ribbon bar some tools which allows us to have a look at which will be the situation in the future or in the past, and also to have a simulation from a start date to an end date. So for example, if we press the button status at and set a date and press show, the system is telling me that is showing me which is the status of my building site at the date I have chosen in the calendar. And if I press the simulation from to, okay, let's dock the beam viewer. You can select the view angle that you want to use. You can zoom in, zoom out, and then if you press the player, if you press play on the player button, now we'll have this simulation week by week of our building site. The objects you see in the simulation have different colors, and you can provide these behaviors to the specific object according to the fact that they were existing throughout all the project, or that they were demolished and built as new, etc. I want to quickly go back to the dashboard tools to show you how to use our dashboard tools inside an estimate. Remember that the dashboards are available also in the accounting area, for example, to compare which were the estimated values compared to the actual values, for example. So if we go back to the estimate and select, for example, the dashboard comparison, we can ask the software through the data request to compare our estimate number 1 with another estimate that we have available in our list of estimates. So now the system is processing the pivot table, and here I have my pivot table ready to be updated or changed. So for example, if I don't want to have these fields in my pivot table, I can simply remove them and have, for example, item by item, the difference between the quantity of the gross amount for the first estimate and the gross amount of the second estimate, and I can also add a calculated field in which I can set my own formula. I can add a new field, for example, in my pivot table, simply by taking the field from the pivot grid field list and dragging and dropping it into my working area. If you select a section of the pivot table, you will be able to see also graphical comparison between the first estimate and the second one. And if you double click on the value of a cell, you will be able to see the information of the composition of this value. Another important dashboard, which is very useful, is the one about the supplier bids. With STR Vision, you can export an Excel file and ask for bids to your supplier. So for example, if we go back to our estimate measurement, in the reporting area, we have a specific report that allows us to export the summarized quantity of our estimate without the price indication, of course, to an Excel file. And here I have these files. Of course, I can filter some of the information of the estimate if I want to ask a bid only for a specific part of the estimate, and I can share through email this Excel file to all my suppliers. When I get all the files filled in with the information about prices, I have a function inside STR Vision that allows me to import this information inside my project price list. I needed to go to the price category first and create a specific price category for each supplier, for which I need to import the prices, the offer that I have received. And then in the project price list, I have the button of the import offers. I have to select the file that I have received from my supplier. I simply need to insert a bid code for my bid. I can associate the information of the supplier, and I can ask the software to start the import. In this way, the system is updating. Okay, I have already used this code in my bid. But anyhow, the system is updating the section prices with the prices that I have received from my supplier, and then in the estimate area through the dashboard supplier bids, I can compare at the same time up to 6 bids that I have received from my suppliers and decide which is the best offer for my estimate.
Okay, everybody, the presentation from Laura has ended. If you have some question, please write down in the section for the question. Also would like to point out that, as you saw today, it's really easy to import a price list using also Excel file and simple copy and paste function. It's really easy to drag and drop measurement and properties to do the quantity takeoff, and also how you can save a lot of time in developing some rule that you can recall back and automate your estimation. In the meanwhile, if you can please answer the survey that we're going to transmit.
Okay, I have a question from one of the participants that can be interesting for everybody. So the question is if it is possible to a generated estimate, I imagine through the parametric estimate, to add also rows which were not generated automatically and that are not in the IFC models. Yes, of course you can. The software has been developed before the birth of the IFC models, so there are a lot of our users that use the software without IFC files, simply adding the quantities manually in the detail area for every single row. And we can have also a mix mode of working, so we can take information from the model and we can combine this information with some other information that we need to insert manually. Sometimes the model lacks of specific information that we need to insert manually. So there's no problem to combine information coming from the model to information that the user simply insert in the estimate. There is another question. If it is possible to create some documents or PDF file as output. Yes, of course. Okay, let's see briefly the reporting area of the estimate. Okay, so this is the reporting of my project price list. Here I have the reporting of my estimate. So for example, here I have a report which is already being prepared, but let's add a new one. So here you have all the list of the available reporting, let's say already prepared reporting for every section. So here we are in the estimate. Let's select the estimate measurement. Here you can customize, for example, the title of your report. You have the possibility to customize the style, and you have a section of options that you can play with in order to change the output of your report. So for example, you can decide to have the measurement unit, you can have the progressive of your estimate, you can decide if you want to have the measurement types separated, you can have the formula, for example, or simply the total of your estimate. You can also decide to group information in your report, for example, by WBS code or by any custom field that you want to create. Let's take the code. You can add the signatures. You can even decide to hide the default columns that we have inserted in our estimate report, or to change the length of the columns. So let's save and have a preview. Okay, and this is our estimate. Of course, here you can replace this image with the image, the logo of your company. Here we have a very detailed reports print out. okay, with all the detail of the estimate measures. And this report can be exported to PDF, to XLS file, etc. If we change, sorry, for example, and simply select not to have the detailed measures but the total and ask for the preview, we will see that the interface, the output of the report is different. So now we have only the total quantity of our estimate without the detail of all the measures. Here we can have, we can choose which type of description we want to have, if only the short one or the detailed or both of them. And so on. We can change the price category, and if you realize that the reporting, the already provided reporting are not sufficient to your need, you can always use the dashboard in order to extract the information you want to have in your report. Okay, there is another question, okay, regarding the price offer and how to get the best offer from the different bid. Yes, so once, okay, I've not prepared all the demonstration about this this section of the software, but we are preparing some new videos, and one of these is regarding the price offer, because once you have imported all the prices from the different supplier, the dashboard supplier bids allows you to compare up to 6 suppliers together. Okay. Now I don't think I have some interesting information in this dashboard. Let's see. Okay. This is somehow a type of report that you can have in the dashboard supplier comparison. You can extract all the information from the different supplier. You can add calculated fields, for example, the price difference between one and the other. And then you can have some options of the style conditions. For example, helps you to highlight the value, for example, which have percentage increase up to below 5% or more than 10%. So you have some different options on which you need to work on a bit to get which is the best offer possible. There isn't actually for the time being a sort of automatism that simply asking the software to compare prices gets you the best price among the 6, because you can use this dashboard to compare all the 6 together, one with each other, and maybe you can decide to subdivide the works into different suppliers according to some conditions that you may have in your building site. Okay, let's see if there are any new questions. no new questions, so I'd like to thank you, all of you, for your attentions, and feel free to get in touch with us should you have any further queries or doubts about the use of STR Vision.